Okay, well, the volume pot repair was successful. I'll show you that a little bit later. I've mislaid a little tiny circlip at the moment, so I've had to order some little tiny circlips, which is a real pain. But I thought we'll make a start and we'll get the squelch pot taken apart. Now this is 50k this pot, and I believe this is linear. And the other one is logarithmic, I think is the word. Right, we've got much longer pins in this one. As I say, I've done exactly the same with this one. I've basically dremeled off the top. So we'll keep that little switch assembly very carefully to one side. Now this is the circlip I've lost off the other one, a little tiny one that fits on the end. What a pain. That is a pain. It means I can't test it in the set, but you know. So the issue is in this little bit here. That's what seems to be breaking apart on these pots. So I don't really need to take the whole lot of it apart yet. But I need to get this little circlip off the end again, which means I've ordered 100 though, so I should be okay. It means I've got to get me glasses back on. There it is. So as I say, that's 1.5 mil, that is. And I do not know where the other one's gone. It must have stuck to my sleeve or the back of my hand or something as I was working on it. That's the little piece that operates the switch mechanism. And this is the bit that causes the problem, which I didn't realise at first. I didn't think properly. And there's a little tiny piece in this enclosure. Let's get that out of the way, which causes the problem. So let's get my better tweezers out actually. Let's pop this one off. This little I don't know whether this is a separate loudness piece or what. Let's just get my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. This little piece comes off. And there's two little tiny plastic clips. So again, it's really tough to see these because they are so small. So that on my eyesight's going. So basically, we need to split this off. So I'm just going to put a knife in the back. Put a little bit of pressure on. Just pop that side up. There we go. And the issue is the contacts come away from the base, and this has done the same. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that's that has come away from the base piece. I'm just going to take a picture of how that, oh dear, the position that's in to start with. But that's basically the pot taken apart. Hopefully that's in focus. Yeah, it looks to be. So let me just take a picture of that so as I know the correct orientation to put it back together. So the object is to refix this piece the correct way up onto there. It's really difficult to see with the naked eye. Well, in fact you can't. You're going to need some magnification to do this. I could probably just about get away with it on the magnifying glasses, but you can see there's a little tiny piece of plastic that's just come adrift there, that little dot, that there. I think, yeah, you can just about see that. That is what was holding that together, so that's just pushed off over use. So what I did with the last one is I super glued the metal to the plastic initially, let that go off, and then I mounted a fresh piece of ABS on top, which is just some 3D printing filament that I've got. This like natural coloured stuff. So I've melted a piece of that, blobbed it on there. Then I've put some epoxy, very gently epoxied it with a cocktail stick, and when that's dried, I've actually sanded it, filed it flat, and then just sanded it to smooth it over. And that has worked in the other one, so it's going to do the same in this one. But I am going to need to probably get it under the microscope to glue it in place. So that's going to be the next trick then, is to get some super glue and just glue that in place so it's sat upright correctly how it should be, like that. And God, it is fiddly as hell, this. But it's going to save this radio from the scrapper. So, you know, what value do you put on that? You're looking at a radio that would have cost hundreds of pounds to buy new. They're still expensive now if you can get one working. The thing is, most of them have got this issue and they're not working. Right, so I'm going to get the mic. Sorry about that. As I was saying before I dropped my microphone on the floor, I'm going to get the microscope underway and get it fixed on with some super glue. Then join me again and I'll get the epoxy put on. Okay, so this is all I'm using to glue it all together. I'm going to need to put some gloves on because this epoxy somehow leaches out every time. I don't know how it gets out, but so yeah, I've got 2-part rapid epoxy and some 60-second all-purpose glue, but it is basically like a gel type super glue made by Loctite. And obviously the epoxy is just cheap, normal epoxy. So bear with me, I'll get the microscope set up, and you might be able to see me working while I'm still under the microscope. You never know. Okay, well, it's quite difficult to film that. That's as close as I can get in. The microscope lights are blowing it out, so I've had to cut the aperture and shutter down. So hopefully you can see that. So I'm going to get underneath the microscope now because I need to clean this first. So I'm going to give it a squirt of. Let's put a couple sheets of paper underneath. So I want to try and keep this bit of A3 paper so I don't lose any of the components. I just want to give these a little squirt of IPA to clean them. Let's get a cotton bud. I'm going to go under the microscope and do this. It's easier for me. Hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm up to. But you literally, it's too small to really hold with my fingers. I don't know if this is just debris that's got into the switch or whether it's some sort of graphite grease they've used. I don't think I'm going to use anything inside these pots. I might just put a squirt of deoxit in there when it goes back together. Okay, that's that side. Let's do this side as well. Okay, yeah, that's clean. Let's get the contacts. Actually, IPA's. Oh, come on. It's difficult because I'm doing it left-handed. Let's try it with the correct hand. Oop. Again, the tweezers are bigger than these contacts, really. How the hell they make them this small, I don't know. Okay, let's give that a squirt of IPA again. If I can find it. There we go. Yeah, pretty dirty those contacts were. As I say, this has just been floating around inside the enclosure, so it's dragging up all sorts of muck. Right, okay. Get off. A little bit of cotton stuck to it. Huh. Can I use my finger? That's better. Okay. Right, so let's just do a test fit. Still getting to grips with this microscope at the moment. That's better. Right. Oop. Let's do test fit then. So it just drops down there. Sits up there. Okay. So if it stayed like that, it'd be great. And there is a link out there, and I'll see if I can find the link and put it in the comments, in the description of this video. But there is talk of just melting this piece, but the problem is there's not enough meat left on it, so to speak, to melt it back on. So I've really gone belt and braces with it, and you'll see that in a minute. So let's just take that back off. Cool. I'll tell you what, it hurts my eyes. I'm not used to looking through a microscope. Yeah, it's really digging into my eyes. Could do with a bit softer eyepieces, really. But it is a wonderful bit of kit, and I'm really lucky to have got it. Thanks to really, your donations and that have helped to buy this, and I'll do a review of the microscope at another time. But for the time being, let's get this glued up. So I'm just going to squirt a bit of this, what's called all-purpose glue, I suppose, on some paper here. Again, you only need a little tiny, almost a pinhead size of it, really. Let's get my tweezers ready. So I need to get this just right. So I'm just using a cocktail stick. I'm just going to hold that if I can. Come in with a cocktail stick and just a little tiny bit on. But that's probably too much. Ooh. Ah! Don't ping out on me now. What I don't want to do is get any glue on the contacts, so. So I'm just dragging as much glue off of it as I can. I don't want it all blobby. That should do. Right, there's my other tweezers. So let's see if I can find it. Where are we? There we are. Ah. There. Just need to make sure it's sat right down, and no, I don't think it is. Okay, it is there. I'm just going to hold it there for a bit and see if this glue will go off. Hopefully it won't glue my tweezers to it. Ah, get off. Right, so I'm just going to leave that to set off for a bit. About half an hour or so. It shouldn't take too long. Then I'm going to put a little bit of epoxy in there. Actually, no, I'm going to melt a piece of ABS. Okay, well, I've got the overhead cam going now, so you can have a little bit of a closer look at it. That's it with the super glue on it. I've got it now orientated correctly. And I think the hardest bit is actually gluing it flat. It's very difficult to do. But, you know, gotta love a challenge, haven't you? So as I say, that's drying now. If you can see, that's the contacts are just off. Not going to mess it around too much, but that's stage one really. Then what I'm going to do, if you can see the little tiny indent on the edge just there, I'm going to heat up a bit of ABS with the soldering iron and just blob it right in that gap. Just spread it over a bit to give it a bit of mechanical strength. Then the next step is to again get a cocktail stick and just run a streak of 2-part epoxy over that, just to seal everything in. I do that as fine as I can. What I thought was fine, it isn't as fine as it looks under the microscope. It looks massive, so I tend to, well, with the other one, I filed it down with a little needle file first, well, not needle file, a little flat miniature file, and then I used a couple different grades of wet and dry paper to smooth it off, get it nice and flush. So that's it so far. Okay, it's time to do the soldering. I'm on the overhead camera now, but I'm still got my head in the microscope, so it's pretty difficult to do. But you know, what the hell? Got to go for it, haven't you? So I'm going to try and just melt that piece over. So it's just a case of supporting that. Coming in with my soldering iron if I can get near it. Now that will have held it in place, but in fact that's gone better. There's a little bit more meat on that one than there was on the last one. But I'm going to put a bit of ABS on top of that just to help support it if I can. This is the tricky bit because I can't use the tweezers anymore. So let's see if I can get this in. So I just want to just get a little bit of that melted on the tip of the iron if I can. Okay, that's molten on the tip of the iron. Let's get the tweezers back in. If I can find where I am. Where am I? There we are. I'm just going to blob that down on top. Just to add a little bit more into it. There we go. There. So that's what I was aiming to do. Sorry if you couldn't see that very well, but it's difficult to try and do it all under the microscope and film it at the same time. But I'm sure you can see the result of that. Just needs a little bit of filing. So that should, yeah, that's set nicely now. So what I'll probably do is just take a bit of that off with the file. But that's certainly held it all in place. The super glue's gone off nice now. I mean, really, I could probably get away with just putting that back in, but let's go mad on it. Let's find my glasses, because I can't work, well, I can work on that microscope with glasses, but I can see a lot more of the view if I take the glasses. I've got a wider field of view, shall we say, if I take that off. So, what I'm going to do now is just zoom out a bit with the microscope, and I'm going to pick that up with my fingers and just very gently take the file and go across the top. Just take the worst of it off, come up a bit higher, it's better. Right, where's my paintbrush? I don't know if you're seeing this or not, but hopefully you are. Yeah, that's looking good. A couple little hairs on it from the paintbrush. Which I'm going to have to take off with the tweezers. Right, that's ready for some epoxy. I am going to put some epoxy on it because it's once you've seen it on, you'll know what I mean. So bear with me. I'm just going to mix the epoxy up. Okay, so here goes the epoxy then. Let's get my head back under the microscope. Got that. Too little epoxy on it. Okay. So I need to take a lot of that off because I don't need much epoxy on there. I learned that from the last one. That should do it. So make sure I don't get the epoxy on the underside of it. That's it then. Job done. So what I'll do is I'm going to let that harden up, probably overnight like I did with the last one. Then it'll be a light filing if necessary, a little bit of sanding, and that'll be good to go. So there you are. Join me again when it's all ready to go back together, and I'll put them both back together all at one go, if you know what I mean. Okay, well, it's literally been a matter of an hour or so, and this epoxy has gone off very nicely. Let's see if I can get you in a little bit closer without it ruining the picture too much. Oh, that's not too bad. So I'm going to reassemble it. I need to probably just tidy up the work area a bit, get rid of all this old glue, so bear with me a second. Okay, well, I've got all the parts here to rebuild this. I just need to quickly clean off the spindle because that is pretty mucky. Just get my microscope out of the way a minute. So I've got you on the overhead camera because it's a bit easier to see what I'm up to there, if anybody does want to attempt this themselves. So basically I want to try and keep that in the right orientation. I just need to clean this shaft off here. I'm going to need to get inside and clean the muck off. Apologies, that may have just jumped out of focus, but yeah, it's just to clean the muck off that. I don't know whether it's muck or grease. I'm going to put a little tiny bit of silicone grease, I think, back on this after. That's that bit. That bit looks fine. Just clean around the top of this one. And give it a bit of a clean inside. Spray a bit of isopropyl in there. Clean that right out. I've got to get the orientation of this right. That's not right at the moment. Let's just pop that shaft back out, turn it 180 degrees. Back in again. No. Is that right? I think I had it right the first time. I was looking at it upside down. Oh dear, bear with me, I'm just going to get my pictures out again a minute. Okay, well, the orientation of this is a bit of a mystery because it seemed to be fine just now, and now it seems to be, I don't know, 45 degrees out, which I can't really work out because it's exactly the same as the other one. So anyway, it'll be fine. Let me just get my bearings because that one goes in there. I don't want to get the two pots mixed up. So time to get this back together then. I've cleaned the shaft off, as I said. I'm going to put a little tiny bit of grease on that. Do I need to do that yet? Or can I do it? Yes, do it now. I'm going to put a little tiny bit of grease on this. So I'm just going to use some of this silicone grease. That's from RS. That's the part number if you want it. Not that I've got any affiliation with RS, but I do get a lot of my stuff there. So I'm just going to squirt a little tiny bit down in the corner. I can pick that up with a cocktail stick then and just move it on to where I want. If I can find a cocktail stick, that is. I seem to have moved all my stuff around. Now it wants to give me dozens of cocktail sticks, not just one. Now I've got a cocktail avalanche on the bench. Okay, so I'm just going to pick up a little tiny bit of this grease and just smear it on the bush in there. And I don't want a lot on there. I don't want it to pick up loads of dust or go into the actual mech. Okay, yeah, that feels nice. Brilliant. That's that. Now we've got the little tiny contact piece. That's got to go in there. I'm just going to see the orientation of that. I'm sure I did take a picture of that as well. I hope. Yes, I did. So it was that way round. And when I had it, the contacts were in that sort of position. Okay, so we've got the track there. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put a little bit of deoxit on that. There's no such thing as a little bit of deoxit, is there? So I'm going to pop that on there. That'll just stop any corrosion. Just give it a little bit of lubrication as well. So make sure that it's in the right way. See if I can snap it back. There we go. That's back on. On top of that goes this piece, and it goes that way up. Yeah, that way. So again, we'll just put a little bit of deoxit on that contact. I'm just making sure I've got my bearings right here, so that goes on there. Like that. Then we've got this piece. Which I think is the right way up. The right way around. Then this miniature circlip, which is going to be a real pain. I know this is. How am I going to get this on? Ooh, we don't want that pinging because I haven't got another one of these. Whoa. He's only got it. Right, okay, that's that bit. And that all fires into there. Let's go that way. Just there, okay. So what I'm going to do temporarily, I'm going to push one of these pins back in just to hold it in place. There, that's it all back together. So the next bit is experimental. So I don't know whether this is going to work or not, but I've obviously got to fix the body back together. So to do that, I'm going to use some of this copper wire. As I say, I've not done this before, and I can't think of anything else that's going to be the right thickness. So I'm going to use some of this copper wire. It's just out of some, I think it's 6mm or 8mm earth cable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, have I got room to bend it over? I'm going to try initially just putting a little blob of solder on the end of this. Just trying to think what the best way of doing this is. Okay, hopefully you can see where I am. So I've got my soldering iron on. What I'm going to try and do is just blob a bit of solder on the end of this copper wire. There we go. So I want a blobby bit like that. Let's let that cool down a minute. Let's have a quick look at that through my glasses. So I'm going to cut that flush or flat on the end. There we are. And that should hopefully stop that bit of copper pulling through. Again, I've not done this before, it's a little bit experimental, so it's either going to work or it isn't. So straightening out this bit of copper. So my idea is to push this through all the way through like that. And pull it tight, bend it down over. So that's held nice and tight now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little blob of solder on this end. I don't know what the hell's up with the dogs, so let me go check that out. Okay, sorry about that. It's nearly time for the WALK thing. Right. So let's see if I can solder this then. This is going to be interesting. So just put a little tiny bit of flux on there. Again, I'm looking through my magnifying glasses. Okay, it's not taking there. I've got. I'm going to need to turn the iron up quite a bit, I think, because the aluminium is just heat sinking it all. Probably not got the best tip on either, but it's too hot to change it now. Oh dear. You just don't know, do you? Do you try? Let's try again, a bit more flux. Be careful, I don't really want to get flux in there actually. Yeah, have to give this a flush out possibly. Okay, well I think that's got it. Oh, let's just hit that with a bit of isopropyl in it. Let me see how that's going to hold. Or if it's going to hold. Oh, it's got hot. Okay, so I'm going to have to file that down a bit because obviously this sits flush against the case. I'm wondering whether that'll work. Let me just get the file. That, I think, is going to be the job. Let's get rid of any filings there anywhere. That's going to do it. So let's do the same for the other side. Let's get another piece of wire. Put the same blob of solder on the end. Cut it flush. Let's pull out this other pin. If I can get it back out again. There we go. Let's pull that one out. We'll push this one in. It's the same as the other one. We'll pull it with the pliers. Bend it right over sharp. Nice. Right, let's do the same with the solder again. Just a little tiny bit of flux this time. I didn't put too much on last time. Okay, that hasn't quite taken as nicely as the other one. Let's persevere. I'll try and get some solder built up on the inside edge there. That will cause hot. Yeah, that's better. Let's turn that soldering iron down. It's a bit hot now. Let's cool that down again. Bit of isopropyl. Clean it at the same time. Let's see what this one comes off like. Yes. Ho ho ho. That is looking good. Wow. I am well pleased with that. Let me just have a clear. Okay, so let's give it a go. I've got the LCR meter because it's easier to actually hook this one up. So let's just pop that on. And let's just go to resistance. So this should be a 50k pot. So let's just check that we have got our 50k between the two, the negative and the input. Okay, we haven't. Oh, yes, we have. All right, yeah, there we are. And that shouldn't change as I turn the pot, which it doesn't. So it's 47.32 it's reading. It's near enough 50. So let's go to the center tap. So now we should hopefully get resistance as we turn it. I think I've got a dodgy lead here somewhere. Okay. Let me, oh, I can hang on. I might be on the wrong, let's try this one. I was going to say, I might be on the negative side. Let's see if that works. No. Right, let me try the multimeter then, bear with me. Okay, moving on. So, it's time to get the volume pot back together. So here's all the bits to put it back together. Now the key thing is, let me just turn my soldering iron on actually. The key thing is getting the body put back together. Now I've just got some of this, it's just, I think is it 6mm or 8mm earth cable? I think it's 6mm. And I've just pulled one of the wires out because the original retaining pins, you've got to, and there they are there, look. That's the original retaining pins for the actual body there. They've got to come out. You've got to grind the tops off of them so you can't reuse them. So that is 0.68 of a mil, I think, and this is 0.8 0.55, so it's the closest I've got to it. And the idea is, well, I'll show you in a minute. I'm going to actually put a little blob of solder on one end to hold it, and then bend the other end over and solder it back in place. Hopefully that'll do the trick. Well, it will do the trick because I've done it on the other one. Just got to find my soldering iron now. Just got to what? I've got the soldering iron. I've just got to find the plug for it. Ah, there it is up there. Okay, bro. Right, so let's get this back together. It's held up because I lost one of these miniature little circlips, 1.5mm circlips. So that stops me putting it all back together and testing it all, really. The squelch pot's gone back fine. It was just this one, so we're going to need one of those. I've had to order 100 because that's the quantity they come in. If I can get one out of the packet, that is. Come on. There we go. So that hopefully should fit on the back end of that shaft now. I'm hoping anyway. Let's start reassembling then. So we've got this piece, we've got that pin that goes through there. We'll put a little bit of grease on that. Just some silicone grease. Just looking for a cocktail stick to use to stick that on. Ah. Literally, we don't want a lot, and I don't want it all going into the potentiometer part. Just a little tiny bit around there to stop wear on it, really, I suppose. So that piece goes in there. Then we've got the actual potentiometer. That's got to go that way up. Actually, no, it's not. This bit next. Oopsie. Then this, and there's a little tiny contact on the back of that as well. That goes that way up. Then we've got this, which is the latching mechanism, because these are like pop-up pots. Hopefully that will fit on there. Yes. Oh, that's a relief. So this is the latching mechanism with a little spring in it. Gotta make sure that goes the same way up as that. There we are. Make sure that still works. Yeah. So this is the tricky part. We need to let's just ease that down a minute. We need to get these pieces here. Just snip that in half. Let's get my third hand tool. Let's zoom you out a little bit. And all I'm doing with this is just, you should be able to see that, just going to put a little blob of solder on each end. Excuse me, back in the camera back. I'm trying to sort of get a proper blob on there, really. Not very successful on that one. It's typical, isn't it? Don't want to do it now the camera's on. That should do it, I think. Let's just cut that off, sort of flush. And that one. Let's have a look at those. Let's put another blob on there. I want a bigger blob than that, really. It's just stop it pulling back through the body. Unfortunately, this soldering iron, my other soldering iron, is broken. This one's a bit, that's better. It's a bit hot, really. That's much better. Right. There we go, that's one. That's the other. So I've got like a little, almost like a nail head on there now, which is what I was after. So let's get back in a bit closer. Let's put that out of the way. That was just to demonstrate what I was actually using. So the idea is to push that pin through the hole. Ow. Well, it did fit through the hole yesterday. There we go. Ow. So what I want to do is get my pliers. Grab the pin, stretch it and bend it down over like that. So that's held that side in. Do the same on the other side. It is fiddly. Just get my magnifying glasses on a minute, because it makes it a lot easier to have a bit of magnification with this. Yeah, so let's just snip that end off a bit nicer. Okay, so again, I've pushed it up inside, grab the pliers, grab the end of the lead and bend it down sharply, and that is really rigid now. But the latching mechanism's not working properly. I think that might be because that little circlip I've got is slightly too big. So that's why I haven't soldered this back in yet. So let me pop that apart again. I did this yesterday and had problems with latching, and I'd already soldered it. I had to unsolder the lot. Right, so that should pull back off again, hopefully. So look at this latching mechanism. It's working now. Let's get these pins back in. Just straighten them up a little bit. I'm trying to do this one-handed while I'm holding the latching mechanism back together. Okay, we're getting there. Brilliant. Nice and tight. So, if you can see, you can see what I've done there. So that's my two pegs, and at the back you've got your little blobs of solder, which just stop it pulling back through. It is latching now. Next thing I want to do before I make it permanent is just make sure that our potentiometer is actually working. So I'm going to get my LCR meter. There we go, you should be able to see that, hopefully. We could pop the other camera on, actually, might make it a bit easier. Yeah, so there's the overhead camera. So I'm going to pop one on the center pin. Now this is a 20K pot. So it's 21.85, and hopefully as I turn it, Yeah, low-turn resistance, there you go, look. So you can see it's logarithmic, it's jumping quite a lot. It's not it's not steady like the Squelch pot, but that is working. There we go. Right, just a case of getting it back in the radio. Okay, there is one other job to do on it, and that is to just make it so as these don't come loose. And the way I've done that on the other one, just get you in a bit closer, you can see what I'm actually up to then. So light's sort of blowing that out a bit, isn't it? Bit fuzzy because I'm zoomed in so far. Let's just pop it out a little bit. So yeah, all I'm doing is just heating up the copper. Just try to fill that little aluminium channel up like that. This does get rather hot, so I'm a little bit concerned about the actual track inside. Let's just hit that with a bit of upside down air duster to do it. So that's pretty much done. But again, I need to check that we've still got our track and it's not melted it, because these are plastic inside. Nothing fancy about these. So let's say we've still got a 21.57. Yep, still working. Brill. Okay. Now we've got to cut these pieces off. Again, I've never done this before. I did get a bit of help from someone on a website somewhere that said they could be repaired. I've done it a bit different, tried to make it a bit more robust. So I need to file these off flush. So that one and this one. Yeah, that one's not that tight actually. Okay, so I think I'm going to have to clamp those and give them a bit more solder. So bear with me. There, that's all done. Yeah, there's just a little tiny bit of movement in those, so I've pushed them through and just put a fresh piece of solder on, flattened them back down again. So that's that. Right, let's get them back on the boards.